Hey, what's good, guys? My name's Chris.
And I'm Jody.
Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com podcast called WearTesters Unlaced. We have officially made it to 11 episodes.
Yep.
We crossed the double digit last week, which is kind of cool. So we made it through.
It's very cool.
Now, WearTesters Unlaced is brought to you guys by the good folks over at Move. If you wanted to know more about Move and their insoles, they are performance-based insoles along with a really nice casual one. Stay tuned. We'll have a quick word from them shortly. But before we get into all of that, we do have lots, actually, of sneaker news. So the first thing is that there is a new collaboration between Adidas and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, trust me, everybody and their mom has tagged me on with Instagram and stuff. Like, it's just like crazy. Anytime there's any kind of like custom or collab and it's comic book related.
I know, I should have known. I thought I was so on it. I had already screenshot these. I was like, I'm gonna bring some news to sneaker news. And then he told me what we were talking about and I was just like, what?
I was going over the rundown of like what we were about to do today for the podcast and she got mad.
Because I thought I was on it.
So far it looks like it's a single colorway. Whether or not that's going to be true is, it remains to be seen. As of right now, there's just a red striped, at least it looks like it's red striped, according to these images. And
yeah,
the little lace dubre is like rafts. Although
it could be any of them.
That's the thing. It depends on what they are going to do, what it looks like and feels like based off of the packaging. First off, the bubble packaging is really cool. They've done this before. It kind of mimics what action figures come in, like their bubble packages. They've done it previously with like Star Wars collabs and stuff like that, which I always think is really neat. But based off of the packaging, they're going off of the original comic books, which they're all in red bandanas. So I think that this is just a one single shoe versus what they did in the animated series, and then later on in the comics and stuff, which is adding unique color to each one. So as far as the shoe itself goes, did you want to share your thoughts first?
Well, I really liked how they took the shell toes and made it a shell without it being like ridiculous looking. Like, it's subtle and it looks really good. My big question though is, how do you try them on before you buy?
Oh, that is a good question.
That's like my thing where I'm like, do they just like bring out a normal shell toe and be like,
well, so these, okay, it looks like it's the same thing. They literally look like the same exact style of packaging that they used for the Star Wars stuff, for that back. So unlike a toy where you have to rip it,
do you slide it?
Yeah,
okay.
You slide the back. So it's kind of
like,
you
have some figures like that.
I was just gonna say, it's so like I have right over here, I have like a wall of storage units that we built out, and I turned them into pegs, or not pegs, but pegboards, so that I can hang my figures on them, so it looks like a toy store. And I have Bucky O'Hare along with everything else, like turtles, all that stuff. But there's this other set of Bucky O'Hares. They're like a newer style of action figure where the box card or the backing, you can slide it and then remove.
It's like a 3. So there's a little lip on the bottom, lips on the side. But even then, I feel like that's a lot of like wear and tear for trying on.
No, I think that it'll be fine.
Okay.
Like it literally just slides in and out. So I think that that's what they're doing. That's how it looks anyways in the images. And I think that's a cool move. I love that for both the shoes and for action figures, because that Bucky O'Hare set, you can open them, you can pose them, you can play with them, you can put them on your shelf, or you can put them all back. Because some people like to mix up their displays and like display stuff sometimes, and then they'll change everything up and do all of that stuff. So any other thoughts on the shoe other than the toe?
No, that was, well, besides the fact that I was really excited to show you something that apparently the whole internet showed you.
Yeah, I literally, like, I had opened up Instagram whatever day that was. It was literally like all these things getting, did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see it? And I'm just like, yes, I see it now. So thank you. I would have seen it eventually, but like, yeah, I got tagged a ton. And so, yeah.
I do like the colorway just because of that olive green, so.
Yeah, so anytime there's any custom or collab that has to do with anything, I don't want to call it pop culture related, but just, nerd related, I get tagged like that.
When your worlds collide.
Right, and I think a lot of people, well, first off, I don't usually buy them. The reason being is that I tend to not like them, like the execution. Like, I love comics, action figures, movies, comics, all that stuff. Like I like that stuff, and then I love shoes too. But a lot of times when they come together, like it's not something that I find like wearable.
It's like little kiddish, except it's in a size 9.
Right.
You know?
You know what I'm saying? So like, and our son likes that stuff.
Yes.
Which I think is great.
The Adidas Spider-Man.
Oh, he's all over it. The Jordan
Yes.
1 Spider-Man, like everything, like all of those things, he definitely enjoys. But yeah, so that, you know, usually I don't like them. I didn't like any of the Kith X-Men stuff. I thought they all looked corny. I thought that the packaging and their I don't want to call it their storytelling, but just their way of meshing collecting comic book cards or trading cards with the purchasing of sneakers, genius. You know what I mean? So like all of that stuff I really like the concepts and a lot of times the execution of the release or the rollout. I like the packaging. The Power Rangers Reebok collection, the boxes where each of them were a Zord and each shoe was based off of a character and its Zord. And if you bought every pair, they made the Megazord, but out of shoe boxes.
Well, that's cool.
Fucking awesome. The shoes, though, look like dog. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I would never wear. And they had some of my favorite shoes ever in that pack, like the Reebok Question, a Club C, all that stuff. But I'm not trying to wear a Tiger Zord Club C.
It's hard because it's one thing where I'm all about when we do our Disneyland vacations. Like, I want to be dressed up the entire time we're there and go
That's different.
all for it.
Right.
But on a Tuesday?
Right. That's exactly my point. It's like,
Sacramento?
how often would I wear this stuff? And,
Yeah.
and the answer is like damn near never,
Yeah.
if not never.
Yeah.
I appreciate what's being done. I like seeing it. It's just not something that I would wear. And therefore, I would never buy it because I would never use it and all that stuff. And I have plenty of action figures and I have plenty of sneakers. I don't need action figure sneakers or whatever. Like, I just don't. So it's not that I don't like them. I think that they're cool for what they are. And for people that maybe they don't collect action figures and this is like, ooh, I used to watch Voltron or,
Maybe.
you know, Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. I think that that's cool for those people. You know what I mean? But like for me, I'm very knee deep in both things where I don't need more. Like, I'm good with what I have and, you know, I still actively collect in both areas. So again, I don't need them, you know what I mean, like an amalgam and stuff. So like I said, I like that it's getting recognition. Like the Vans Disney stuff. Like, I like all of that stuff. I would just never wear it. I would just wear regular Vans. And that's just me. I know that everybody's different. I'm not on the shoes or anything like that, except for that Power Ranger back. That they really didn't look good. Like, if something's a tribute like this, which is to the credit of this Adidas shoe, like kind of what it is, where the colorway really showcases what they're trying to portray, and then all the cool details are hidden, like the sewer shell was hidden under the insole. That's really neat. Like, that's a cool ass idea. Having just the lace dubray, and you can remove that if you wanted to, and it's just a green and red striped shell toe with a weird looking design on the toe. You would never know.
It's subtle. Like, that's the thing. It's not like they didn't color the shell, like the toe cap to look exactly like a shell. Like, it's just debossed, embossed, something bossed.
Oh yeah, I think it's
in.
embossed. So, but yeah, either way, like, it just looks cool for like if anything, that's a really wearable collab, which is to its credit. I think that looks really cool. Again, and I'm not trying to on, you know, Reebok or the Power Rangers or anything, because I love both, but that collab of the Reebok Power Ranger thing was like so in your face, where I was just like, holy shit, like I just want to wear a graphic tee.
You want the Power Ranger workout suit or track suit?
No, so I do want that, but I would also never wear that. So like, it's kind of like my helmets over there. I have 4 out of the 6 helmets. Basically everyone that's released so far I've gotten. I don't walk around with my head in them. I would love to, but I don't. Next up is the Air Jordan 1 85 cut. So the OG, as close to OG as possible, whatever you want to call them, in a brand new original colorway, the white and metallic burgundies. This colorway originally from 1985, like the entire metallic series, but this colorway especially. I think it's the maroon metallic and the black metallic And there might have been one other one. I think it might have been the orange one. I could be wrong though. But those, like that bunch or group within the metallic series, were some of the rarest, like, period. And so, which is not why I like them. I just like them because I love the 85 Air Jordan 1. I think that they should legit shelve the Jordan 1 High OG and other models, like other Jordan 1s, like the mids and stuff like that. Even though I understand the need or want for a mid for, like, you know, lower priced options and everything. Not everybody can afford the price of the OGs and the 85s and everything. So I understand that point of it, but just seeing them coming back, like, I think is fucking awesome. And this is what I think all of us have been really, like, wanting, is just more of the 85. Is this going to be the only 85 cut all year? I don't know, because it's for next year, like 2024. So I'm just happy that it's happening. I will try to get them. I don't know if I will be able to. That's another situation altogether. But I think that they look great. Seeing the OG stuff in OG colorways, as close to the OG look and shape and feel as possible, that is, like, I'm just like, man, because I never had that experience, you know what I mean? Like in 85, like, this will be my first one of these like that. So I think that that's really cool. Do you have any thoughts? Because I know that you like burgundy and maroon and stuff, so, but you're not also a high top fan,
Yeah.
or a Jordan fan, so.
I like them for whoever wants them. Like, it's a pretty shoe, so.
I agree. Speaking of another collab of a popular 80s property, Puma is teaming up with the Gremlins, of all things, and there's going to be a Gremlins Puma All Pro Nitro, which is a performance model, a really good one too. Again, this is a collab where, to the point of what I was saying in the Turtle one, where the Turtle one looks fairly wearable, like on a daily basis, like, because the look overall is so neutral. The Gremlins one, not so much. Obviously, it's a court shoe, so, like, it could be a little more flamboyant.
I'm going to say, though, the color palette, besides the fact that, do they come as mismatched?
Yes.
Okay. Even then, the colors are very neutral. Like,
which I agree with, but there's fur on it.
Just on the liner, yes?
It's enough.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, it's not like a Grinch shoe, where if you're wearing those, they're very loud and in your face, like between the reds and the greens. So I don't know, it feels more neutral.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm gonna critique what they did, what it looks like is the right shoe is you know, the regular Mogwai, and then the left shoe is what happens when you feed them after midnight. So, but yeah, so to the point of the fur looks like it's isolated to the tongue, which on a performance shoe,
I don't know. Everybody was fiending for the Sesame Street Under Armour Curries.
And I didn't like that either, where it literally had Muppet carcass on the tongue.
Yeah.
So what I would say, though, is as a performance feature, not a great move, but I get it. If it's a Christmas Day shoe, cool.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I will say, just as a collab, so the Gremlin side, the left shoe, which is the green one, when they, you know, you feed them after midnight, the tongue is still just white fur. It would have been way cooler if it was white with the black patch, like the actual characters in the movie. I do know that some of the bad ones were brown and white and stuff like that, but it still would have just been cool to have seen a little bit of a really different look on that green side. But other than that, I think that the shoes are cool. Again, for what they are, I think that it's cool that it's teaming up with another popular 80s property. I think that's cool. Would I wear it? No. Even on court? Hell no. I'd rather wear it.
Go with what you're wearing right now.
Don't care. I would rather wear any of the basic team colors instead. But again, I think it's cool for anybody that loves that the worlds collide and maybe doesn't collect, you know, lots of merchandise. We have some first look images, like official images, or they're not official from the Jordan brand, but they're the official shoe. It's not like a render or anything like that, but it's the Air Jordan 4 coming out in a sail colorway. They look very similar to what we used to call back in like 99, the blings. Also, if you fast forward a couple of years, the pure monies and stuff like that. The blings didn't have the netting. That was a retro plus look where it had just the perforated leather panel. But then the pure monies actually said pure money in the back tab, but it also had the white netting and stuff like that. But the overall same shoe, where, you know, the lace thingies that, according to Jordan brand or whoever wrote that,
Floating eyelets.
Yeah, they're floating eyelets or the eye stay, but I always thought that they were basketball nets, so like whatever. But those are gold this time, whereas the shoe is kind of like one of these colors, like kind of creamy looking. And I like them. I think they're cool. I would wear them if they're not too cream. Like if they're kind of like white-ish looking, like they like in what my eye sees, if they're like more white, then I'd be like, oh hell yeah, because my Pure Moneys that dropped in I don't know, 2014, something like that. Whenever they drop last, they're f***ed. Like they're literally a lawn and when we work outside shoe. I would love to get a re-up on like a white on white pair, if you know materials are nice, which they look like they don't even have the flight patch on the tongue. Instead, it's like all debossed into it.
Okay. Like
the logo and the flight script. It's pretty sick. So like I think that whatever that is, I think they look cool so far. Do you?
I don't like the gold.
I do agree with that. Like kind of like with the Pure Moneys, I never really liked the fake chrome look that was on them, like the plating. In the action figure world, we call that vac metal.
And I say this because sometimes I do like gold on shoes. I just don't feel like it works here. It looks like a cheap piece of plastic thrown on there.
Because it is.
So, and I'm sure
yeah.
and a lot of the times that they're cheap pieces of plastics, but like you can do it and make it work, and I don't feel like it works.
Like you remember those women's sixes with the rings?
Yes.
So even
I
though
liked that shoe.
Right. Even though I don't like the shoe, I thought that like would work. Or like to your point, like that worked a little bit better than something like this. But I do agree. I think that mostly the gold doesn't work because it kind of clashes with the cream. It's like a weird.
Well, and that's what I understand what you're saying about the cream, because I've had like cream Reeboks, and sometimes they look weird. Like, I don't know. And it's been one like I've ordered them online and they show up and I'm like, that's not exactly what I thought.
That's exactly how it happens. Is that because I have the same Reeboks and I thought that they were white and they came in and I was like, why?
Yeah.
And so then I'd have to go and buy another pair that was actually white and actually read, because they say chalk, and I was like, okay, so chalk is cream. So you know, it is what it is. But either way, the shoe looks cool for now, based off of the first kind of images and stuff, like real images of the shoe. But we'll see what they look like in person when the time comes. Last but not least, we got better images of the Jordan 3 Craft. This was a shoe that we did talk about on the podcast and some early on episode and stuff like that. It was just like a picture, and based off of what I had seen there, I liked them. Based off of what I see now, I still like them. You?
Can I see them again? They kind of look like they would go, like you would set them out on the shelf, kind of like how Phenom does it, where they're like, look, this is what's coming. And they would put those twos that you didn't like next to them.
Which twos?
The
Italy's?
snake Italian pythons.
Yeah.
You know? So.
I can see what you're saying. Where the color palette's similar.
Yeah. Like, hey, do you like this vibe? Would you like it in a 2 or a 3?
Right.
So.
These, I can't tell if they're white either. I think it's throwing me off because there are cream hits. Like the outsole, the back tab, the eye stay, little like plastic things. Even the midsole, it looks like they colored it kind of cream. So hopefully they're actually white and cream accents. But if they're sail with like creamier accents, then that'll be kind of weird. But they look like a really nice shoe. Like the suede looks clean, the leather looks clean. So that's what I'm really excited about. Again, and just another neutral white on white-ish shoe and stuff like that. I don't wear Air Forces, even though that's like the white on white staple. But I love white on white Jordans in the models that I love. So I love like the neutral gray, you know, Jordan 1, low, mid, whatever, high, all that stuff. I dig that stuff. Like I said earlier, the white and or Pure Money 4s. So I dig it. And with that being said, here's a quick word from the WearTesters Unlaced podcast sponsor, the good folks over at Move. If you're in the market for a new insole or orthotic, then we'd recommend checking out the products from today's sponsor, Move. Move offers 3 different insole options. The Game Day is perfect for those with a normal or neutral arch that want a little extra support underfoot, along with a little extra cushioning. The Game Day Pro is for those that have a high arch and or those that prefer a more substantial torsion system within their footwear. This is the insole that we'd recommend if you're a taller athlete or a professional athlete. The Move All Day is a polyurethane-based insole that features a neutral arch plate, perfect for everyday wear. The polyurethane offers a bit of extra bounce with each step and can transform the comfort comfort level of your daily retro sneakers up a few notches. If you are interested in checking out any of the insoles Move has to offer, then you can head over to www.move.one and check out all the items that are available. So we're back and we are covering the shoes that we didn't review. I really tried to get these in the review lineup or whatever, yeah, the schedule. But sometimes, man, like there's just so much that comes out and it's really difficult to get it all done. Like there's literally just us outside of the performance stuff. So like, you know, Alan and Jackson take care of themselves pretty much at this point, so that's great. And they're usually uploading on Wednesdays, and then we upload the other 4 days out of the week. And so like, unless we were to double upload or upload every fucking day, which
we did for a while, and that was hard.
Well, not just hard, but it was also during like COVID and stuff.
Yeah, this
wasn't
was
it?
even pre-COVID.
This was pre-COVID, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like, and I will say that that was really difficult and taxing. Like that was so much work on both of our parts, and we were just kind of like running ourselves ragged just for the sake of trying to, you know, build the channel up and stuff like that. Not that it was like not already built, but like, you know, we were just trying to see like, oh, what happens if we upload every day? And then we just kept like this weird streak going for how long? Like, was it like?
I want to say like January 2019, we probably had like 3 days that didn't have an upload in it. Like it was ridiculously high.
We did it for like the whole year?
No, like I'm just saying for that. I remember that specific month and being like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna do this? And that was towards the beginning of me being the full-time editor, and I was not very quick at it either. So it was long days.
Yeah, and we have like, if before you even like ask, like we have tried bringing in editors to try and like, you know, cut the workload on our part down a little bit, but you know, we have a very specific style that we like. Like I basically started it, I taught it to you, and you've ran with it, and I think that you do great with it. And we've had people try to mimic it, and it just doesn't work out. And when you're trying to, I don't know how to explain it, but like when you're trying to upload on a quick schedule, you know, the turnaround time needs to be quick, and sometimes it's not. Other times there's too much of a delay going back and forth, where it's like, oh, can you fix this at this minute mark, or can you do this at that? It's just easier if we do it ourselves, you know what I mean? So like that's where we ended up like just being like, we're just gonna keep going ourselves and stuff. If there's an editor out there that can do it for a good price and quickly and the way that we'd get our stuff like done, like that would be a different story, but we have yet to meet that person. With that being said, I was really trying to get like individual, or not an individual video on every shoe, but I was trying to get this whole set in one individual video, and it ended up just not working out. But when we're talking about collabs, like we did earlier, we've got Spider-Man once again with Adidas. For those of you guys that don't know and you're wondering like, whoa, I thought that Spider-Man wore Nikes in the movies, like the well, for actually Peter Parker in the Marvelverse, like the new Tom Holland Peter Parker wears Nike Jordan 1s. He wears other shoes too, but you know, most people notice the Jordans. And then in the Spider-Verse movie, Miles wears Jordan 1s specifically, and we've had 2 Jordan 1 releases for that. But starting with Miles's game, not PS4 Spider-Man, but the Miles Morales game that was a follow-up to that, Miles signed somehow a Adidas contract, and so he exclusively wore Adidas. There was a little bit of shoes that came out for that. We've seen the Spider-Verse shoes as well for the second movie, where it's like the kids stuff. There was 2099, Gwen.
Oh, right.
Spider-Punk. Yeah, I thought that I showed those too. I don't remember where.
It's in a video. We showed it off, I want to say.
Oh, that was in the Spider-Verse video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those were exclusive for kids. These are not. So these right here, in case you were wondering like what the is a Miles wearing once he gets like certain suit changes, this is one of them, where it's a teal suit. I saw some people online say that that was one of the worst suits they've ever seen.
Oh, well, our son would beg to differ because he about lost his mind when
he saw these.
Yes.
So yes, and on top of that, I like the suit a lot. It looks 90s. Like it's the suit that has the cutoff on the top, so Miles's hair sticks out.
Yes.
And I think that's cool. cool. Like, it's just a cool look.
It's very Gambit-like.
Exactly, and I dig it. Cyclops, I mean, look at this. It was like that. It was so cool. So yeah, so as a comic book fan, I really dug it. I think that there's a weird cross contamination right now with comic books and properties and nerd stuff, where there's people that are fans of strictly the movies, and they don't know shit about the actual source material. And those people feel like, I feel like they're gatekeeping in weird ways. So like, if they simply don't like something, it's like garbage and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, but that happened in the books. And like, it's how I feel right now with like the Marvel universe, like in general, of like the MCU, the movieverse, where it's not that bad. Are they great movies? No, but they are very comic accurate.
Did you have a fun time?
That's the thing. Like, was it fun? And,
yeah.
And to my point with that, if you say no, how are you a fan if you're not having fun with this? As a long-time, lifelong comic book reader, this is fun. This is what people like me have been wanting my whole life. This is like the golden era of cross-pollination of genres and stuff like that, or mediums. And so I think it's cool. But either way, this is the shoe that Miles is wearing for that particular suit. This is Adidas's 4D technology, Ultra 4D. It's very weird, but very Spider-Man, you know? So it almost looks like the multiverse. And yeah, so this is what he's wearing, just in case you're interested. It's a full knit upper. It's kind of like an Ultra Boost, but not exactly. But yeah, it's got the knit collar and all of that stuff. So we've got those. Those are pretty sweet. And then I don't know why they sent these. You know, it's, I appreciate this, but
they said you did the sambas.
Yeah,
you know about football. Here's something for your football.
Right, but I don't. So like, we got a weird cleat. This is the venomized version of, you know, obviously the boot.
I like how they made his symbiote like glittery.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, the execution is very cool. This I think is like where collabs are fun. Because this is where like people that hire like custom artists like Mosh and stuff like that to, you know, paint up their sneakers or their cleats or whatever. I think that this is where like collabs like this are really cool, because you're out there, you're on the field, you're showing a little bit about your personality, but while, you know, still getting down and being a badass athlete and stuff. So I think it's very neat. It's just that I don't play this, so you know, like, what am I going to do with these? Now, these are called the Adidas Impact Flex 2.0. This is based off of Venom, or at least the symbiote itself. I don't know if it's Venom per se, just because the spider is a little bit different. It looks more like the spider that was on Peter and his suit than what ended up becoming on Venom's actual suit.
Chris actually hasn't gotten to play his video game. Our son came home sick the day that this video game released, and he basically hijacked... He came
home sick the day that Spider-Man happened to have released.
And he basically hijacked the game, and so Chris has gotten to watch and help on very difficult tasks, but he hasn't gotten to like just dive in and immerse himself in the game. So that's why he's a little hazy on certain.
I mean, I know damn near everything. I watched him play it. So like, you know, I saw the story play out and all that stuff. It is what it is, but I also like have all the comic book stuff in my head and the animated stuff. So
this doesn't look like a Spider-Man symbol to me. Like
it does, because in the video game, it kind of reminds me of what they did in Spectacular Spider-Man with their Black Suit Saga or series, where the more that it took over his personality,
it got
the more
angrier?
Yes, and so like you saw his spider change.
Oh.
And which I think is a really cool feature. Not only did his spider change in the video game, but the suit itself changed. Like, it got more armory looking. Like, it was so interesting. Or not armory looking, it was armory in the beginning. Like, it looked like it was plated, and literally covering his already like tactile suit. And then the more that it was taking over, the more symbiote it looked. Like the more like gooey. Yeah, and I think personally that's really interesting when they kind of visualize what's happening internally and stuff. So, but either way, I don't really know much about this model at all. All I know is that this is the Venom version, and I believe it's just a training shoe. It kind of looks like the, crap, what was that guy? The football guy. We did his shoe, and then we gave it away. What's his name?
Not J.J. Watt.
No,
That's
that was
a Reebok.
They were bright green. What is that fool's name? Didn't he just win like a Super Bowl?
Oh, is it the guy who's with the girl who's now BFFs with Taylor Swift? Mahomes?
Oh, that's his
Mahomes.
name. Yeah. I don't know.
There.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm only a basketball guy. So, yeah, I really don't know about that kind of stuff. But, yeah, it reminds me of that type of shoe.
I was going to say it's very Adidas-like on the bottom. Like, I feel like there's several shoes where I've seen this look.
The feet you wear kind of look and stuff. It should have been on a Mahomes shoe, but maybe it wasn't approved. I don't know.
Maybe. These are way more springy than the other colorway.
I know. Last but not least, we have the actual Spider-Man, shoe or whatever, and they look just like that cleat. There is a kids version, which Adidas sent all of these, so big thank you to you-know-who over at Adidas. I don't know if you watch the podcast, but if you do, there you go. But he sent the entire set, and one of the shoes in the set is the kids version of this. Theirs is actually an Ultra Boost instead of the 4D stuff, so same upper, but a Boost bottom and the Boost outsoles. Or Ultra Boost outsole. So yeah, this is basically an Ultra 4D version of an Ultra Boost. So the upper is the Ultra Boost, kind of like 1.0 look. And then you got the 4D, I want to call it 3D printed, but I don't know if 4D is a different thing. Yeah, either way, this one, like she was saying, is like spongier feeling or like softer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very weird feel, like underfoot, like this stuff. Like sometimes it's hard as hell, and then sometimes it's like this where it feels almost bouncy. And I don't know if I like it or anything, but as far as like the way that it's applied in the sense of a story being told through a colorway, and in this case, the symbiote taking over Peter, again, it looks cool. Would I ever wear this? No, not even once. I wouldn't even wear this with a Spider-Man suit. You know what I mean? Like if I was cosplaying, like I would legit like want to look like Spider-Man, not like Spider-Man wearing Spider-Man sneakers. So, if I was Miles, that would be my go-to, because then you luck out. You just get to wear sneakers, you know what I mean? Or at least, Miles from movie 1, not movie 2, where he was on his own and kicking ass. Timeout! All right, so WearTesters Timeout is a literal timeout from everything that we just talked about. This is typically where I'll show like pickups, like personal pickups as far as like my nerd stuff goes, whether it's comic books or action figures, primarily action figures. But I decided to do something a little bit different today. I did get some toy pickups, but maybe I'll show you them later. Not today, but like a different date and all of that stuff. But there's a lot of toy news, and so I just wanted to talk about those because I thought it was like really cool. So the first thing is this company called Super 7. Super 7 makes all kinds of action figures. They license all types of properties. Recently, or it's not super recent, but fairly recently, they've licensed out the Turtle brand and IP and everything like that. And what they started with was with their reaction line. And their reaction line is kind of like an old school Kenner vibe, where it's a 5-point articulated action figure or minifigure at that 3-inch to 3/4 inch scale, where they really do mimic like those old school like Star Wars type of action figures and stuff. And they make them in damn near everything. Turtles, Power Rangers, you name it, they make it. They also have what they call their Ultimates line, and it's literally like an ultimate action figure. And it's not just ultimate in the sense that they make a figure that's badass, it's that they're remaking our old figures into badass action figures. So my favorite thing currently is their Ultimate Turtle line, because they're taking the toys that we owned as kids and they are blowing them up into a 7-inch scale, fully, articulated, so modern articulation, but original looking sculpts. And then they also do better paint detailing on the shoe, or not on the shoe, on the figure. Because when we were kids, they were pretty simple as far as paint, because obviously they're just toys. But now older people are buying them, so they will paint the stuff that was molded into the figures that you just really didn't see back in the day. This is, I don't remember what wave this is. They've got a whole bunch of them. You can grab some of their previous waves on like major discount right now, because they're normally $55 to $65 retail, which is expensive. That's actually something I should have shown. I picked up a couple of those recently. They were a pre-order. I got like Space Raph and Genghis Frog that literally look like the originals, but they're new. We have Rapper Mikey. That was an original, figure in the original line. The original line, I believe, ran from 1988 all the way through right about 1996. So I don't remember what year this wave, like this figure originally released in, but it was one of the earlier ones where they were like, oh, we released the 4 turtles already. And so we've got to start putting them in street clothes to make them look different, or different themes and stuff like that. So we've got Rapper Mikey looking just like he used to, but again, he's 7-inch scale, fully articulated, comes with tons of accessories. The packaging for these figures is amazing. It's probably where most of that $55 to $65 budget goes, which is a bummer because I know you can't play with the box, but if you're a display guy, like with, you know, figures and stuff, and you keep them in box, really cool display looking item. If you're not, they're so much fun to f around with, like to pose and play with. And speaking of the original line, the Rat King is coming back. This figure had like a lot of controversy because like the original face sculpts were a little too pretty, whereas the original figure looks more like what they changed them into, which I really appreciate because I had been looking forward to Rat King for a long time. And when I saw him unveiled with those faces, I was like, are you serious? Like, I'm not gonna buy that because like it doesn't look like the original. And they fixed it. And then we have a battle damaged foot soldier. This is not original. It's just kind of like a, you know, in shoes and stuff, they reuse parts and things like that because, you know, tooling costs are extremely expensive, like to make the molds to make the products. And so a lot of times they'll reuse those things and put them in different products. They do the same thing in action figures. They always have, they probably always will. So this is what we call a repaint. And they just changed up the deco a little bit with, you know, battle damaged looks and stuff. It's a cool toy, but I don't need it either. And yeah, so I really tried to stick with like what the original line was.
You're not gonna army build?
No. The only thing that I've ever army built was the putties from the Hasbro Lightning collection. And the only reason why I've army built them, it was an accident. So like one, it's not funny.
No, this is only funny because we did some cleaning of our space this past week. Mm-hmm. And in the process, he found 4 Batmans.
They're the same Batmans.
All still in their box. And I could
said,
see.
And I said, how did I end up with all of these? Because I just didn't remember finding it every time and going, ooh, Batman, and then buying it. So, yeah, I have some memory issues. What was I saying?
You army built the putties on accident.
That's right. So, like, there was a single release of the putties, which I bought, obviously. And then there was a 2-pack where it came with the Green Ranger. So I bought that because, you know, I got to have the Green Ranger. And then they started showing up at Ross's for like hella like cheap. And so every time I found one, I was like, it's so cheap, I might as well buy it. So now I have a bunch of putties, which is fine. They're still in the boxes, but yeah, I don't really army build. No.
Okay.
Or I try not to. I don't consider
he
that.
army builds Batman.
I didn't
apparently.
consider that Batman an army builder, okay? That was just me being a dumbass. Now moving on to DC and McFarlane. In case you care or you're a fan of this character, there's going to be a Red Tornado character. I think this is really cool for if you're trying to build your own Justice League, depending on the team. Like if you want the original 7, I don't know if they've done that quite yet. They've come close, but they keep f***ing up Superman. Every time, I know, there's a lot of Supermans and there's a lot of Batmans that get released and none of the Supermans I like. It's always the face or the body, like he's all weird looking and stuff. And I'm just like, that's not, like, can we get just a normal looking Superman? So yeah, so that's just me. But either way, if you wanted to build, you know, your version of the Justice League or what was it? It wasn't Justice League Unlimited, that was the cartoon. Did they have like a West Coast Justice League or was that just Avengers? I think there was 2 teams, but either way, I can't remember. But, you know, whatever it is, Red Tornado's coming. He looks really cool. Now, the worst Batman movie of all time, the movie that killed comic books as a film genre, Batman and Robin, with George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell, that is finally getting some legitimate action figures where they like are done by McFarlane. The face sculpts look incredible. The body sculpts are okay. They're not anything crazy. Am I going to get George Clooney? No. Am I getting Chris O'Donnell as Robin? Yeah. Even though that suit in that movie has always bothered me because it's not the Robin suit. I love the Batman Forever Chris O'Donnell costume. But the Batman and Robin Chris O'Donnell costume is a black and red Nightwing costume with a cape. Mm-hmm. Not right. That's Nightwing. Just take the cape off. You know what I mean? And I thought that, like, when I remember back then seeing the promotional stuff for the movie before it came out, and I was like, what? Are they going to actually, like, follow through in the little teaser that they did? in Batman Forever where he was trying to come up with his name. And he was like, how about Nightwing? And he was like, no. I thought that that was what they were doing, and then come to find out that he's just Robin in a new suit, and I was like, why? Obviously to sell toys, but it didn't make no sense to me. And so, yeah, so I've never liked the suit per se, but I love Chris O'Donnell ever since Three Musketeers. And great movie, by the way. If you haven't watched it, I've watched it many times. Yeah, and I just really like him. I love Robin as a character. Dick Grayson overall, obviously a big Nightwing fan, so I dig it. Now, last but not least, we have a collab of properties in the Toyverse, and it is Masters of the Universe teaming up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Two different companies, Mattel and Playmates. So it's kind of like Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures playing nice. Like, it's weird. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, what world is this? So basically, the Turtles are doing Masters of the Universe stuff. Some of the figures look like crap, but some of them look awesome, like this Leonardo. Like, check them out. Super cool. Love the box art, everything like that. I really dig it. Raph looks pretty cool as well. Donnie looks okay. I like, you know, they're kind of like amalgam figures, but the characters are still there too. So like Donnie is Man-at-Arms, but Man-at-Arms gets his own figure as well, which is kind of weird. And then we got this like ridiculous looking mutated He-Man. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if they're going to come with comics like they normally do, the little mini comics, so that they explain what's happening, or if this is a teaser for something else to come, like a cartoon, like direct to DVD or something like that, you know what I mean, or direct to streaming. But either way, you can see some of the figures. You can see this Krang, you can see the Mouser and Trapjaw. I love Slash. Slash looks sick. They actually like paired him up with Faker He-Man, so I thought that was a really cool move.
Oh, that's why he's called Slacker?
Yeah.
I thought the images you were showing me were almost like in a different language, and so I thought that was Slash in Italian, or I don't know.
No, he's like I said, amalgam. So like Leo is, you know, the He-Man character and stuff like that. The only one they haven't shown is Mikey for some reason, which is really weird. But yeah, so I'm not going to buy all of these. I do want probably just the Turtles, and I really want this Shredder. The Shredder looks just badass. I just think it's something fun and new, just, you know, for both properties. And that's really the true testament of a collab, because He-Man was prior to Turtles, as far as the animated stuff. And so it's kind of neat seeing like those two fan bases like really collide, you know what I mean? Because like the kids that watched He-Man were a little bit older, so like I watched reruns of He-Man. I didn't watch the actual like when they were first played, but I sure watched all of them of Ninja Turtles. So it just kind of depends on your eras, but they're coming together. So now we have a couple of trailers. The first one is for What If Season 2. I think it looks awesome. It's a Disney Plus series. If you haven't checked out the original series, like Season 1 of it, I would recommend it. It's based off of the original comic runs of Marvel What If, where there would be just different like one-shot stories, whether they'd be team-ups, which is also a separate line too. There was Marvel team-ups of comics. But this is basically like, what if Spider-Man wasn't bit? Or, you know, whatever. Like, whatever the concept is, that's what the What If comics were all about. And so they've turned that into an animated series, really honing in on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's what is, like, primarily there in Season 1. And then Season 2 just looks like a crazier version of that. And I would totally recommend watching Season 1 if you haven't. It's really fun. It's very cool. And then Season 2 just looks like, you know, it's going to be even cooler and just like, you know, compounding on top of what they already did. So I really dig that. The second trailer is I'm honestly surprised that this is even a movie, but Madam Web is getting her own solo picture. So for those of you guys that don't know, the Spider-Man, or maybe I should go back a little bit. So Marvel was going bankrupt in the late 90s and early 2000s. To get themselves out of that type of debt, they licensed out their characters to different studios for, you know, motion pictures and stuff. Sony bought Spider-Man, Fox got Daredevil, Fantastic Four, and the X-Men. Universal has the distribution rights to Incredible Hulk. And then there might have been something else. Who had Ghost Rider? Was that Fox too? I think Fox had Ghost Rider as well with Nicolas Cage. But yeah, so that's kind of like what happened. And so that's why the MCU that we know today is what it is, why they started with D-list and B-list characters, which are the Avengers. So you would think that that was like in the comics, like a big deal. but these were comic lines that were not popular. X-Men, Spider-Man, those were like their heavy hitters as far as like sales go. Fantastic Four, I think, is currently canceled. And so these books and these characters were never like super popular, you know what I mean? So they just kind of like built their cinematic universe out of what they had left, and they did a great job doing it. So like, that's really cool. They made me like Captain America and Iron Man, characters that I didn't really like love in the books and stuff. But anyway, so that's what happened. So now all of these properties actually are owned by Marvel again and Disney, because they bought Fox. Who was the other one that they got? I can't even remember, but I don't think that they fully have the distribution rights of Hulk yet. I know that the Daredevil stuff and everything, they got that all back because the stuff lapsed. Like that was part of the deal, is that you had to make movies or TV shows within 5 years. And once they didn't, then the rights went back to Marvel. So that's how they got that. And then afterwards they bought Fox, and then they got all the other stuff like the X-Men and shit like that. So, but they still don't own Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, believe it or not, is licensed out to its own company as far as the movie rights go. The animation rights are all different, so that can be Disney. But so Tom Holland's Spider-Man is Sony's, but borrowed by Marvel. And yeah, so it's a really weird collab. But anyways, Madam Web is a character in the comic books. I wouldn't say she's popular or anything like that, but she definitely has her fans. She's the reason for the Spider-Verse. She's like a time-traveling and multi-dimensional character and stuff like that. She, in the animated series from Fox, was the reason for bringing the Spider-Men together in what was the original Spider-Verse stuff. It was like a whole saga and everything like that in the animated series, which was really fun. If you haven't watched it, look it up on YouTube. It's dope. But anyway, she's getting her own movie, and it's an interesting concept. Like the plot is basically this other character who is a villain from the comics. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. He ends up becoming a Spider-Man, like part of their Spider-Verse, which is their version of multiverse. But either way, he's in this movie and he's trying to kill Madam Web, or I don't know if he's trying to kill Madam Web, but he's definitely trying to kill the other 3 chicks that are in the movie. And each of them become a different Spider-Woman or a Spider-Person variant, but within their world. And then Madam Web is also one of them, and she does the whole, like, I can see the future thing and stuff like that. So she's trying to stop this from happening. Meanwhile, this bad guy is trying to stop Spider-Man and all these Spider-Men and women from happening. So Spider-Man's biological mother is in the movie too. We just didn't see her in the trailer. And so I think that he's going to try to kill her also to try and prevent, Peter from being born. But yeah, this bad guy doesn't get his powers from a radioactive spider. He gets his powers from the spider totem, which is like a really weird thing in the comics. It's very strange, so don't read it unless you're ready for some weird. But that's kind of what it is. The first trailer came out. I was morbidly curious, and so I watched it, and I was like, holy crap, this looks bad.
I didn't feel that way, but
okay, I need to know your thoughts.
I just felt like, okay, like you could have removed the obvious Spider-Man that's running around in the trailer and made him just like a masked guy or something, and it would have just been like a thriller, like a psychological thriller. I feel like I didn't think it looked like, oh my gosh, how did this even get a trailer? I will say the trailer was very long, but I also don't love trailers to begin with, so
It's funny that you say that, because the trailer is about 2 minutes and some odd seconds, and it felt long, even though that's not long.
So,
although that is long for a first trailer. Normally they're like 30 seconds.
I don't know. I love the movies, but I hate trailers, and so
I love trailers. A good one.
And I only enjoy trailers though, really watching them at the movies. I just don't want to watch like 7 of them back to back.
I used to go online just to watch trailers.
I am not that person. I want to be blown away, but I want it to be on the not the live screen, but on the big screen. And that's basically, and I only want to see it like a couple times. After that, I'm like, I've already seen this trailer.
I used to rewatch trailers over and over and over again because I just love them, especially once it started getting comic book trailers. This movie to me looks really bad based off of the trailer. Maybe it's going to be great. I don't know. I know that all of the actresses in it are very good actresses, and none of their dialogue scenes that I saw in the trailer looked any good. Like, I was like, what is, like, is this for Hallmark? Or is this for the big screen? Like, it didn't look, even the whole thing just gave off a fan film vibe. And I love this stuff too, but like, obviously not when it's bad, like Batman and Robin and stuff, and this feels like that. Like, I'm just like, what happened?
Okay, so now we're doing something a little bit different. Last week in episode 10, we brought up the fact that you guys leave really cool comments and questions, and sometimes we're kind of like, should we be answering these out loud? So I tried to monitor them, and I took a few screenshots, and now we're gonna do that. The first one, should I put the person's name or no?
Can you just show them on the screen?
I can try.
Like the comment?
Yeah, I can try to fit it in the box properly right here.
Okay.
It's a two-parter, but Chris, are you a fan of Transformers?
I'm a little bit. I have a few Transformer figures, but not anything crazy. They're not in here. There is one in here, but it's in the box. But yeah, so I think that they look really cool. That's for sure. I love the sound, you know, or whatever. I can't do that sound, but like, it's really cool. I think his name is Peter Cullen or McCullen. I can't remember his last name, but he's the voice of Optimus for almost everything.
I do like that they've carried his voice across all of them.
It's so iconic. It's kind of like Kevin Conroy for Batman, where it's like, if you hear or if you're reading Batman, it's most likely in his voice, the animated series voice. And so that's kind of what it is with this, where it's like, it's so iconic that you can't change it. And, you know, Autobots roll out and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, I didn't watch the show a lot when I was a kid, because that's another one, kind of like He-Man, where I would catch the reruns, because it started a little bit earlier than, like, I was really young. I think at that point, let me double check when Transformers first aired.
1983.
7? Oh, I thought you were looking.
I was guessing.
It was 84.
Oh.
So I was on my way to becoming 1. So yeah, so that's why, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that I don't like Transformers at all or anything like that, because I do. It's just that I was so young that, like, it was hard to get into it. And stuff.
It wasn't like now where you want to...
You can, like, binge things,
yeah,
and it's on streaming somewhere.
You had to hope that you could find it somewhere on the television.
That's the thing, is that, like, if I'd catch the rerun, I would watch it.
Yeah.
But if I didn't, then I didn't. Like, it was the same thing. There was this show, well, there was a couple of them. One of them was Voltron. That was also before my time. But, like, I would catch reruns every once in a while and be like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I remember specifically, like, watching the first episode of Power Rangers and just being like, this reminds me of something that I've seen before. And I could not remember that it was Voltron and stuff. And then it finally clicked. And then when I did more research, the funny thing is that Power Rangers came before Voltron in Japan. They just were Sentai. Voltron bit Power Rangers and that whole, like, you know, idea and stuff. But anyways, so yeah, so there was stuff like that. And then I think it was like, what was it called? Battle of the Planets, I think. They're like these characters with a little kid, and they're in bird costumes. It was so cool. It was an anime. And I remember, again, like, watching that sometimes too. It has 2 names. That's why I always can't remember what it's called. Either way, that's dope too. And, like, I was like, dude, this is sick. And I would catch that, like, every once in a while. So I feel like that would be a treat when I'd run into those types of reruns and stuff, which is what, you know, again, Transformers was for me and stuff. Like, my first Transformers series, and I was older when this aired, was actually Beast Wars.
So that's why you were excited about that movie.
Yes.
Well, I was just like, our friend had asked Chris, being like, hey, do you and Eric will have like a boys, blah, 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 go watch this. His wife didn't want to see it, and I was just like, please go. I don't want to see this either.
Yeah, and to your point, I've been excited for every Transformers movie, but like that one, I was like, oh,
yeah.
Because, you know, like,
I am transformed out.
And all that stuff, which I get. Like, those movies weren't, like, the best or anything. Although I will say that the first one is still sick. Speaking of, like, again, another cool collab, I think I can spoil this at this point, right? Like, if you haven't watched the movie, you're not going to.
Which movie?
The Transformers, the Beast Wars one.
Oh, no. What if I watch it someday?
You're not going to care. But at the end of it, the character that you like.
From Hamilton?
From Hamilton, yeah, that actor. His character gets recruited by the G.I. Joes.
I think you told me that already.
Which I was like, oh, shit. Like that was like the mic drop moment in the movie for me, where I was like, oh my God, this is going to be cool.
Who's he going to be?
I don't know, but like all I know is that, you know, in the comics, like when Marvel had the two properties as their comic book properties, they did collab. And so like I was like, this is sick. Like this is gonna be really dope. So, or at least I hope it is. But anyways, yeah. So I'm a real lightweight fan of Transformers. I would not consider myself like a hardcore Transformers person.
This one's for both of us, and I've had all of this time to think about it, and I still don't know. But what is your most worn pair of sneakers?
I don't wear them anymore, but it would be my black cements. Like I wore those until they separated, which was unfortunate.
I was thinking of currently, and even then it's not even that you wear them a lot now, and I think it's because they got put into a suitcase. But for like the last year, I would say that it was your Lost and Founds that I saw you in most.
Oh, yeah. Well, so that's the thing. What I wear most, especially recently, would be like an Airship or a Jordan 1. But then there's also like the Vomero, where we wear them every day for miles on end. So, you know, like it just kind of depends. But like it depends on what the task is.
Right.
You know, like if I'm dressed for the day, it's probably a pair of Jordan 1s. I haven't worn my Lost and Founds a lot recently. Mostly because I still think they might be in my luggage.
That's what I just said.
Oh, did you? Okay, my bad. So yeah, so like they might still just be stuffed in.
I think they are, but prior to that, especially because they were your go-to shoes for all of our vacations, and you'd been wearing them a lot before that and in between, and then it was just, oh, we did our last vacation and they didn't come out of the bag.
Nothing has. I think even my underwear and stuff is still in there. So
there it is.
I know. But yeah, I've been wondering where my good underwear is. It's in the bag. Yeah, so, you know, it is what it is.
That was a hot topic
TMI.
conversation.
Thank you. So glad we're filming this.
For me, I don't know, because my shoes change very much with the weather. So like if I can get away with wearing Birkenstocks, I do.
9 out of 10 times if you meet her, you're going to see her toes. Yeah.
Is it like...
And which you guys might like.
It gets very cold here. And once the rain hits, then I'm wearing these like weird snow boots that I love.
We don't
and I get so many compliments on it. It drives them crazy.
Only from the ladies.
And then it's like New Balances, because I have, as many of you know, like I'm trying not to support the swoosh. And
it's not that you're trying not to, it's that you legitimately don't.
I do.
Not.
And so it just really depends. I'm not very good at answering this.
I would just say Birkenstocks.
I know, but it asked for sneaker, so like Birkenstocks don't count.
Oh, that's right. She doesn't wear sneakers, man. She's like a sandal person. That's how I met her. That's how I've known her this whole time, and it's how she's stayed. Yay.
Gotta stick to my roots.
Right.
Who has a bigger shoe collection?
Between us?
Yeah.
Well, that's a no-brainer.
I mean, you do, as in like he has a lot that are like pristine and stored away. I definitely don't have that. Like the only ones that I have that are pristine and stored away are like yours. Like when you did the stuff with Brand Black.
Oh, like our collabs.
Yeah, so like I have one of each either in my size or as close to my size as like humanly possible. Sometimes they don't make them in my size. But yeah, he definitely beats me. When you clean up, I feel like all of a sudden my shoes become a problem. But then as soon as as soon as they start scattering and reproducing like bunnies across the floor, all of a sudden I'm like, my shoe problem's not that big of a problem.
Yeah, the ones that I would say are like part of my collection, like it depends, because I do the buy two, wear one, and then I hold one, you know what I mean?
You don't do that so much anymore, though.
No, I do, but it's only for OGs, and that's how it's always been. So like, and I don't mean like literally originals, but just original colorways. So like, you know, black and red 11s, Concord 11s, those white and red 12s, playoff 12s. I'm looking at a couple right now. Like any of the original colorways of any of these shoes, I always have two of, because one's still new, and then I wear the other one. And half the time I never get to the second one. That's always the intent, is to make sure that I have a pair, because you never, at least when I was growing up, you never knew when something would come out. You would have to buy 2 or 3 or whatever, because you might not see that shoe again for 10, 20 years.
I don't think that's a problem anymore.
It's not a problem anymore, but like for something like the white and red 12s, what people call the cherries, like literally it's only released twice as a retro now. And so I don't know when that shoe is coming back out. So I did make a point to buy 2 that time, because I'm like, I did that last time in 2009 where I only bought 1. I was like, they'll come back out soon enough. They didn't. My soles fell off. Like I played in them, everything, wore them casually, whatever. They fell off before a new retro came out. So I was like, this one I definitely need 2 of. Some of them, like infrareds and 6s and stuff, or kind of like the 11. You don't really need to buy 2 of those anymore, because, well, for one, they don't wear that well, or I don't wear them that much. Just, like I said, I wear like 1s and airships, like 80s stuff. So like I don't wear like the 90s and the modern stuff as much as I used to. But that's also a shoe that I feel like comes out every so often for some sort of something, for an anniversary or whatever. It's the annual like big million pair plus shoes. So yeah. The other stuff that I have that is pristine or dead stock are old team shoes that nobody but me seems to care about. Like, and they're brand new, like a Jumpman Pro or a Team 1 or whatever. Like those are my like sentimental, like that's what I could afford as a kid. And so I love having those just in the collection. Never to wear, because obviously they're originals, but I just think that they're really cool.
What were Saturday mornings like you for as a kid?
Kind of like what we just talked about with the Transformers thing, where if I woke up early enough, there were some reruns, and so I'd be able to catch some of those on TV, but also depended on if my mom was up. I lived with a single parent in a 1-bedroom apartment, and the TV was in the living room, which was her room, and I got the bedroom. And so if she was awake, I'd be allowed to watch TV. If she was not awake, I'd have to wait. So which is what I mean by, like, if I was able to catch a rerun, then cool. If not, I had to wait for, her, because she was working all the time. So like if she was tired, I had to be very quiet, and the TV is not quiet. So my Saturday mornings were always kind of dictated by what her Saturday mornings were.
Okay.
When I was a little older, that's when like she met my ex-stepdad, or whatever you want to call him now, because they're no longer together or anything. But when she met him, and we moved in together, and my stepbrother came into the picture, and so like we were in a bigger house at that point. So like then that's when Saturday mornings started becoming like, Justin, it's time to get up, like cartoons are on. And so we'd like run downstairs, and we would check them out. We lived in that duplex. He and I shared a room, and they had their own room, and the living room was downstairs. So like we'd run downstairs and do the typical thing, get a bowl of cereal and watch cartoons until they were done, and then you would go outside. Just like anybody in that era, like that's what it looked like. That's what it was. And yeah. And then they started having the afternoon slots,
On Saturdays?
No, later on, like during the weekdays after school.
Oh yeah, Fox did that.
Yes. So, and that became the new daily Saturday morning, where it was like, I got to run home because I'm going to miss the last 10 minutes of Power Rangers, you know what I mean? So I would see them Zord fight and then be like, oh my God, and stuff like that.
And then he'd wish he had some really bitchin' shoes to wear.
That was later.
No, it was because your Power Ranger box shoes, hate, love.
That didn't tie in as nicely as you were hoping. I get it.
Bring it full circle.
Yeah. And with that being said, that is pretty much it for WearTesters Unlaced. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sure that you already have been doing it throughout the podcast, because that's kind of the MO at this point. But we appreciate all the engagement throughout. So if you're if you're leaving comments on whether it be the overall subjects, like after you've listened to everything, or you're commenting as you're listening along and watching along, we really appreciate you guys. If you have any questions that you would like answered in video or on the podcast like this, make sure that you address it in such a way that we can because I think I f***ed up on that. There's comments where I personally went in and was just type answering, and then halfway through I was like, wait a minute, I forgot what I said. And where I was just like, leave a comment. We'll talk to you about it in the next podcast. I was like, what an idiot. So that was my bad. But, so yeah. So if you got stuff like that, feel free to let us know. And please say, like, for the podcast, and then be like Chris or Jody or both or whomever, and whatever your question is. And we can, take care of it the next week. So thank you guys for everything. We greatly appreciate it. We hope that this was fun, informative, and mostly fun. And all that stuff, and that's pretty much it. You got anything to say?
No.
That's it. So we will see you guys on the next one. Until then,
bye.
Have a good one.